You are not alone on your journey. Listen in to the Unshakeable Living Show, Supernaturally and Divinely Unshakable with Lysa Beltz. Twice a month for your well-deserved dose of positive energy and your personal reminder that you are perfectly imperfect, and that's okay. Find your true calling and influence the world around you for the better with your profound gifts. Walk away feeling truly unshakable. Remember, God can't steer a parked car, so step on the gas now with Lysa and let him do the rest. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. I hope Wednesday finds you well and cool. Here in the Pacific Northwest, I'm actually in the state of Idaho. It is super hot, and so I wish everyone cool breezes. So today we are going to pick up where from 2 episodes ago, when I talked about flipping emotions. So I'm actually going to do a little bit of review just for those who didn't listen to the first show and haven't had a chance to. And then we're going to dig deeper into a couple of specific things. But before I do that, I just want to remind people you can always reach me at Coach Lysa at lysabeltz.com. That's COACHLYSA, Coach Lysa at Lysa Beltz, LYSABELTZ.com. I do have handouts from some of my prior shows that I'm happy to send you. And from the Flipping Emotions Part 1, there is a tool that is a PDF that I'm happy to send out to you. Just send me an email with the title Emotions, and I will get that out to you. So in this session a couple of weeks ago, we talked about IQ. Most of us grew up hearing about, IQ, intelligence quotient. It's our ability to think and reason and problem solve. In the last 20 years or so, there's been more and more talk about EQ, the emotional quotient or emotional intelligence. And that is our ability to perceive, understand, and manage emotions. Most of us, at least those of us who are adults at this point, we were never taught good, healthy skills to identify or name, let alone manage emotions. But by design, we as human beings are highly emotional beings. So let's talk just a little bit about what an emotion is. We all have them, but emotion is defined as an instinctive or intuitive feeling, as distinguished from reasoning or knowledge. And we're going to talk just a little bit about the fact that our thoughts actually drive our emotions. And emotions are physical things that originate and resonate in our physical bodies. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So in the early 2000s, which it's hard to realize that was 20 years ago, scientists began doing research on the physical manifestation of emotions in the body, and they created something called the emotional guidance scale. From that scale, we identify emotions either as a high vibe emotion or a lower vibrational emotion. And on that scale, the highest vibrational emotion of all is love. The lowest emotion on the vibrational scale is shame. And in between are all of the other emotions that we experience during our lifetimes. So as I mentioned, science began studying and empirically documenting these emotional vibrations. And many studies have concluded that higher vibrational emotions lead to general well-being, health, and productivity. Lower vibrational emotions do just the opposite. They take us out from a reasoning and thought processing standpoint. They're distracting, and they lead to low productivity and health issues. And I've learned personally over the last few years that even on hard days, I have a choice to stay in the state, whether it's depression or anger, rage, fear, annoyance, things that we would classify as lower vibrational emotions. Even moving up one step on the scale can bring a significant shift. And I also shared last week a simple script or a tool that we can use to flip a lower vibrational emotion to a higher one up the scale. And that is simply the statement that I choose to X because Y. And so the example that I have is I choose to feel annoyed instead of angry, because in the grand scheme of things, this is not important. And we're going to talk a little bit more about anger and sustained anger and how detrimental it is to our health. But this statement, I choose to be annoyed rather than angry because it is an affirmation and it is also a power statement. So an affirmation is a declaration or statement that we make intentionally. And so a lot of times when we experience emotion, we're reacting. It's not like you have the thought, oh, I think I'm going to be afraid now. A lot of times fear, even fear of the what if scenarios that we come up with in our head, a lot of times those emotions are just instinctual. It's not something that you plan out. But you can, over time, train yourself to become intentional with your emotions. And that's where this power statement really comes into play. When you recognize a pattern in yourself, be that perfectionism or procrastination or fear, being a people pleaser, any number of things, once you become aware of that pattern, you can set out to intentionally change it. And you can change it by raising that vibrational scale. Now, as I mentioned at the start of the show, I actually have a handout that lists about 20 different emotions and a power statement that you can use to flip those emotions. Drop me that email at coachlisa@lysabeltz.com and I can send you that handout. So when we experience lower vibrational emotions, our goal is always to move up the scale, but you do need to recognize you cannot go from rage to love in one big jump. So what you want to do is recognize or think about something that is a step or two or three higher up the scale, with the ultimate goal being to move towards joy and love. When you talk to people who have perfected the habit of managing their emotions and staying in the driver's seat with their emotions, that now, so one thing I do want to say is that doesn't mean that we're denying them. If I'm angry, I need to own up to the fact that I'm angry. We don't want to stuff those emotions. We don't want to deny them, which is what so many of us were taught to do. And this is a little bit of a rabbit trail and I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but I feel like I need to share this right now. When we repress emotion and stuff it down inside of ourselves, that's what leads to disease, or we call it dis-ease. So when you have an emotion, you've got this vibrational frequency in your body. If for whatever reason you have to stop that emotion and stuff it, and you don't come back and process it later, it kind of gets stuck in your body. And that's where you will end up with different types of illnesses. One of the examples that I use in talking about disease is people that are bitter. Most of the time, bitter people end up with gallbladder issues. You know, that's where that term, why does she have the gall to do that? There's an aspect or a root of bitterness to that emotion. And we can trace different physical ailments back to their root emotion a lot of the times. And so take a few minutes at the end of the show today and look around at the people that you know in your life that have different types of either mental illness or more likely physical illness. and see if you can recognize a pattern. And it may even be in yourself. See if you recognize that pattern and if you can start to identify that root emotion. As we look at ourselves and look at those around us, and we start to recognize the signs and the symptoms, it helps us to have the motivation to set that intention of choosing a higher vibrational emotion. So some other tools that we can use when you are in the throes of an emotion, and I like, being a woman in business, I like to think about that scenario when you're in a meeting and somebody just insulted you and you are not going to cry in that meeting. And so you repress or stuff that emotion. Sitting there in that meeting, you can take some deep breaths, which helps to get that oxygen back in your brain and get your rational mind thinking again so that you're back in the driver's seat. And while you're taking those deep breaths, again, nobody has to notice. You're going to inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. And so you can either just use your finger and just trace a square on your neck, on your hand, on the table, but just do that 1, 2, 3, 4 times 4. If you can do that a couple of times, and I know we can't always do that in meetings, but it will actually really help to bring you back into control and be able to sustain or suspend the intensity of that emotion so that you can then choose and make an intentional, conscious choice of how you want to process that. Another thing that will help with emotions is to move your body. Get out and go for a walk. Get some exercise, do jumping jacks, even if you're sitting in your chair. Grounding, take your shoes off and get your feet on a natural material. And then essential oils is the other recommended tool or mechanism to help manage emotions. So we need to go to a quick break here. And when we come back, we're going to dive into the fact that we are spirit, soul, and body. And we're going to look at the soul and body connection to emotions. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Take control over your future. I'm Lysa Beltz, and I'm here to help you realize your true potential and become unshakable. Schedule a completely free introductory coaching session with me now to see for yourself how I work. Get the divine guidance that you need to transform your life for the better. Go to lysabeltz.com and take that step towards transformation. That's LYSABELTZ. You are made for more. I'm Coach Lysa, and I'm here to help you achieve ultimate life satisfaction. Your life matters to the world. Reimagine your future with an individualized life by design approach with my free ebook, The 5 C's of Coaching: Commitment, Clarity, Coachable, Creative, and Change. Find the transformation you're looking for. Go to lysabeltz.com. That's LYSABELTZ. There is divinity within you. Join Lysa Beltz on her show, The Unshakeable Living Show, Supernaturally and Divinely Unshakable, twice a month, and find that divinity that you deserve. Lysa will help you feel encouraged, empowered, and realize that you're not alone on your journey. With Lysa, address the foundation, the frame, and the finish of your dreams and become truly And welcome back. This is Coach Lysa, and you're listening to the Unshakeable Living Show, where we tell you that you are divinely and supernaturally unshakable. And so I do have a special that I want to mention tonight. In September, the weekend of September 9th, 10th, and 11th, I am co-hosting a personal growth What we used to call a retreat, we are now calling an advance, because we're not retreating, we're advancing our futures. And that's going to be here in Boise, Idaho, actually about 45 minutes north, up in a mountain cabin. And the cost for the weekend is only $225, and it is limited to 10 or 12 ladies, and we have 7 spots left. If you would like more information, again, drop me an email at coachlisa@lysabeltz.com and mention the advance, and I can send you that the link for the registration and get you some more information about that. It's going to be a really powerful weekend. We're going to do some limiting belief busting. We're going to have some s'mores around a campfire. We're going to do some other exploration into personal growth and just have a lot of fun. So really hope that some of you will be available to join us. So in the first half of the show, we kind of did a review from a couple of weeks ago, and now we're going to dig into some new information tonight. So I want to talk about the fact that we are made spirit, soul, and body. And in our lives and in our world, we generally think of body, soul, and spirit, but I want to challenge you to turn that around and flip it and think about it the other way. I like to say that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We were divinely and eternally made to be spiritual. We live in a physical world, and then our soul, which is our mind, our will, and our emotions, is kind of that in-between piece. So we're going to look physiologically at what happens in the body when we experience emotions. And for today, we're going to contrast 2 pretty extreme emotions, that of anger or rage and that of gratitude or thankfulness. So first, let's talk about gratitude. And I know a lot of people are doing gratitude journals, which is a phenomenal tool to use. When we are approaching life from that attitude or spirit of gratitude, it does a lot of positive things for you at all levels of your being. So first of all, being grateful improves your body, both mentally and physically. And empirically or scientifically, clinical trials that were performed at University of California, Davis, showed that grateful people are physically healthier than those who don't practice gratitude. Feeling or expressing or moving in gratitude lowers your blood pressure, it improves your immune function, it facilitates more efficient sleep. Grateful people have less inflammation in their bodies and healthier heart rhythms. And I found that pretty fascinating as I was kind of doing some of my research. I started doing a gratitude practice probably a year and a half ago. And so when I wake up in the morning, before I set foot out of bed, I list at least 3 things that I am thankful for. I do occasionally wake up in the middle of the night and have a hard time going back to sleep. And again, the research has shown that if instead of counting sheep or allowing your mind to spin up and start worrying about the things for the rest of the day, if you will again go back to gratitude and start recounting the things that you are grateful for, you will go back to sleep faster and you will sleep deeper and more restfully. Gratitude has also been shown to flip depression into a higher vibrational emotion such as being hopeful. Being thankful helps you manage the tough times and gives you a more optimistic outlook on life. Simple things like maintaining that gratitude journal, complimenting yourself. You know, we talk about speaking to yourself the same way you would speak to someone else. You would generally not tell someone else, wow, I can't believe you said that. That was so stupid. But we talk to ourselves that way all the time. So compliment yourself. Sending thank you notes to other people, expressing gratitude to other people generates that same positive feeling in your body. If you are in a relationship, husband and wife, friends, parents and children, Expressing gratitude to that other person also sustains that relationship with mutual trust, loyalty, and had long-lasting impacts on the happiness in that relationship. Quote by Zig Ziglar that is pretty well known says, "Gratitude is the healthiest of all human emotions." Gratitude is a natural antidepressant. It can be the same as medication. It produces a feeling of long-lasting happiness and contentment. When we express gratitude or we receive gratitude from someone else, our brain releases dopamine and serotonin, which are the two crucial neurotransmitters responsible for emotions. Those are the feel-good enzymes. So now we're going to take a minute and contrast a negative emotion. And so we're going to look at what anger. So on the emotional scale, anger is above rage, but the two are pretty closely related. So the long-term physical effects of uncontrolled anger include increased anxiety, high blood pressure, and headaches. Now, there are times when anger can be a positive emotion if it's expressed appropriately. There is righteous anger and there is unrighteous anger. So I am not in any way endorsing that we don't ever want to feel angry. It is when it is unproductive anger or long-term sustained anger that it can become unhealthy. So long-term strategies for managing anger include exercise, learning relation techniques, again, doing that deep breathing. And if you need to go to a counselor, counselors are often trained to help you work through anger. A lot of times anger is a symptom of a deeper root emotion, and you need to work through that in order to properly resolve it. Anger also triggers fight or flight. Now you think about the emotion of gratitude or happiness or joy. It typically is not a trigger where you tense up. It is a trigger where you relax and are able to slow down and let down. Anger does just the opposite. Anger is like fear, and that you tense up and your body winds up and is ready for a fight. The adrenal glands flood the body with stress hormones, which are adrenaline and cortisol. The brain shunts blood away from the gut and towards muscles in preparation for that physical exertion of running away. Your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, your respiration increases, and long-term anger is known to cause headaches, insomnia, anxiety, depression, heart attack, and strokes. So to conclude today, when you are experiencing emotions, I want you to really think about them intentionally. We have the ability for our emotions to work for our benefit, not against us, but it does take setting out to intentionally manage them. And I want to throw out just a couple of scriptures here at the very end, just to kind of let you know what God has to say about emotions. So 2 Timothy 1:7, God hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Proverbs 15:13, a glad heart makes a cheerful face, but by sorrow of heart, the spirit is crushed. And this is one of my favorites, it's Proverbs 17:22. A cheerful heart is good like a medicine. And that is exactly what the scientific studies are proving out as well. And anybody that listens to Dr. Caroline Leaf, science is catching up to the research that many have done on emotions in the Bible and how we are designed in the way our DNA works. So that's it for today's show. If you have any questions, if you have any topics you would like me to address or tackle on a future show, I would love to hear from you. Have a great day, afternoon, or evening, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. You've been listening to the Unshakeable Living Show, Supernaturally and Divinely Unshakable with Lysa Beltz. Tune in twice a month for your well-deserved dose of positive energy and your personal reminder that you are perfectly imperfect, and that's okay. Find your true calling and influence the world around you for the better with your profound gifts. Walk away feeling truly unshakable. Remember, God can't steer a parked car, so step on the gas now with Lysa and let Him do the rest.